Welcome back to Consider This. I'm Sharad Kuttan here in Johor, in the parliamentary seat of Kluang, which includes Mahkota and Mengkibol. I'm speaking now to the candidate, the incumbent, in fact, of Mengkibol, Mr. Chong, who has done quite a good job, I understand, by some accounts. And you've produced a report card. I'm very curious about this report card that you produced for the voters. The issue is, did you do that as a member of the opposition in the assembly or part of the government? This is a larger question, can opposition assemblymen in fact deliver?
The answer is yes. Although few of the project accomplished when I was the government adun, many more we continue following up. We continue to do the coordination work to make sure they get it done. So I think the most important factor is, as a elected rep, we must follow up and coordinate among the various government agencies to make it happen.
So the caretaker Menteri Besar has promised, as head of Barisan Nasional, that he's going to try and change politics in Johor, make it more functional. He's promised equal allocation for all aduns, whether they're opposition or part of the government. I think that's also the Pakatan Harapan promise. Do you think that in itself will change the way people think about who they want to vote for?
They might with this manifesto, but for myself, as a adun in the past 3 years and 9 months, what I have seen, I don't think the government has the political will to do institutional reform. For instance, the enactment for anti-hopping, where we already proposed, actually few adun proposed during our speech at day one. We even issue a joint media statement. We even sent a joint letter to the Menteri Besar office. But still, the government, in the answer at day one, openly stating that there's no intention to amend the law until the federal government done so. So I don't think they will put it as the priority.
Is there a chance, as we've seen kind of experiments, as it were, over the last 3 years, some sort of consensus across political divides, so that the Pakatan Harapan or the major opposition bloc could work with the government that's formed in Johor? Do you think then the calculus for the voter is not who's going to be able to deliver, but who they like better, who has a track record? What do you think is going on? You're speaking to people on the ground. What is their feeling about this particular election?
Yeah, I think nowadays people has a much higher expectation to the elected representative. I think they want to vote only those they believe can deliver. So that is also a challenge to the incumbent adun, because they have the track record for people to examine.
Okay, let's talk about issues, right? And what have you kind of delivered on? In the report I got, I saw there's a lot of infrastructure and development type projects, but there are also a lot of intangibles, right? And things that perhaps not within your control, which have to do with employment, the dependence on Singapore, for instance, to generate jobs for Johorians. How does somebody in your position, as a state assemblyman, and if you get elected, and that's by no means a foregone conclusion, how do you begin to address those bigger questions?
I think the bigger question is the fundamental issue related to our country's economic structure. For instance, when we talk about the local issue, for instance, Kluang people, the young people, they migrate to Singapore because there's lack of job opportunity in Malaysia. But this is also a statewide issue, and there's also a national issue. How we address these economic structure problems and how to rectify. So talking about the infrastructure, that is also part of our effort towards a mission to make Kluang as a livable city. So we need to make the infrastructure right to solve the problem of the transport, traffic, bottleneck, so that people then feel that as a livable city, easy to transport, to shuttle around. Yeah.
Right, okay, the last question, and it's got to do with, I guess, your political philosophy, right? Khalid Nordin, the former Menteri Besar of Johor, has come out to say Barisan Nasional's formula is having a strong party within a coalition, a dominant party, and that creates stability. Whereas Pakatan Harapan is a coalition of equals, and that in fact paradoxically creates instability. What's your sense of this argument that he's making? Because stability is the Barisan Nasional tagline in this election.
Yeah, I totally disagree with the stability. If I look at the history, the stability always brings to a more hegemony regime. We look at Pakatan Harapan, where every party component are equals. Then it actually creates an atmosphere of competition. I think that is good for the people. And when all parties from different coalitions, they compete each other, people will benefit from there. So I think people don't need to worry about the stability. Looking at the past 3 years, people are actually getting more from this so-called unstable government.
That's a very interesting argument, right? They've actually, because the MOU has pushed some of the reforms. Okay, the issue now is, well, whether people will come out. There was fatigue in Malacca, we saw that, and Pakatan Harapan and the DAP in particular suffered quite badly, pushback. PKR was completely routed in Malacca. Do you think we'll see the same dynamic here in Johor? People not coming out in sufficient numbers and therefore eroding the Pakatan Harapan base?
I would agree that either government coalition or opposition coalition, we now do not have a very clear mission or political narrative, orchestra to the same direction. So again, this is a state election and a lot of local issue. So people are now more focused on what the incumbent candidate had delivered. So I think whether they are coming out to vote, the passion to come out to vote, which very much depends on what have done in the past 3-4 years.
Well, I guess the voters are going to make that decision, and you'll know whether your report card impressed them sufficiently to bring you back into the seat that you are now contesting, Mengkibol. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I've been speaking to Chong. He is the incumbent candidate for Mengkibol under the Kluang parliamentary constituency. We're here in Johor. I will stay tuned to us. We'll be right back.